So, in today's data economy, we've got one massive challenge that just keeps coming up. How do you get a bunch of independent organizations to share data securely, especially when building trust is, well, the hardest part of the equation? Today, we're going to dive into a really innovative solution for this exact problem. It's called Tritom.
All right, here's the plan for today. We'll start with the big challenge everyone's facing in the data world right now. Then we'll get into Tritom itself, what it is, how its 3 layers work, and, really importantly, why its security model is such a big deal. And finally, we'll touch on what's coming up next.
So let's just frame the core problem here. If you're a data expert, you know this all too well. We've built these amazing decentralized data ecosystems, but getting all the different players to actually trust each other enough to share data, yeah, that is still a huge, huge hurdle.
And here's why it's so tough, right? You're dealing with a totally decentralized world. Every service provider is its own independent company, running its own systems. The real puzzle is, how do you build a single, unifying service, a kind of neutral middleman, that everybody can agree on and trust? And you have to do it without making things a complete technical nightmare.
Okay, so that's the problem space. And this is exactly where Tritom comes into the picture. It was literally designed from the ground up to be that exact thing, the trusted federating service that can handle all this complexity. So at its heart, what is Tritom? It's a federating data intermediation service. You can just think of it as the trusted glue. Its entire purpose is to connect all these separate, independent systems together, but in a way that's smooth, super secure, and most importantly, completely trustworthy. And look, this isn't just some abstract concept. It has serious official backing. Just back in January 2024, Traficom, that's the Finnish Transport and Communications Agency, gave Tritom its official stamp of approval. They recognized it as a service that's fully compliant with the EU's Data Governance Act. I mean, that is a massive deal. It tells you right away that this thing is legitimate and built for the real world.
Okay, so the big question is, how does Tritom actually pull this off? Well, the secret is really in its architecture. It's built on 3 distinct layers that cleverly handle the business, the legal, and the technical sides of things separately. Let's peel back those layers and see how they work together to create that foundation of trust.
So here they are, the business layer, the legal layer, and the technical layer. You can think of them as the 3 pillars holding the whole thing up. Each one has a really specific and critical job to do, so let's break them down one by one.
All right, first up is the business layer. This is basically the user interface of the whole system. It's where you manage the supply and demand of data products, handle all the consent management, that kind of stuff. And what's really smart about it is that it comes in 2 flavors. There's enterprise for big organizations plugging in their own heavy-duty systems, and then there's essential for customers who are just using data inside their normal SaaS tools. That flexibility is absolutely key to getting everyone on board.
Okay, now for layer 2, the legal layer. And honestly, this is where the real trust is built. It's the rulebook for the entire ecosystem. It manages all the agreements about data usage and makes sure everything is compliant with big EU regulations like the DGA and the Data Act. But here's the kicker, and this is so important. These legal agreements don't just disappear once the data is transferred. They stick around, which means data owners have lasting control and protection. That's a real game changer. And finally, we get to the technical layer. This is the engine room, what's going on under the hood. It connects all the different IT systems using something called loose coupling. All that means is it lets them talk to each other without being rigidly dependent, which prevents those fragile, breakable connections we all hate. This layer does all the heavy lifting, routing data based on consent, keeping audit logs, and encrypting everything. And here's another crucial point. It's platform independent. It's not built on AWS or Azure, which helps you avoid those extra fees and the geopolitical risks of being tied to one giant provider.
Okay, now we're getting to what I think is the most brilliant part of Tritom's design. And this is especially for all of you who live and breathe cybersecurity. We're going to talk about how it builds trust and security by completely throwing out the old playbook. So just think about this for a second. How do you possibly manage secure data sharing without using traditional API keys to prove consent? You know, those keys that we're always passing around that can get lost or stolen. Tritom doesn't use them for this purpose. And that is a massive departure from how pretty much everyone else does things. Let's just put it side by side. The old way, the traditional API model, is all about keys. You hand someone a key, they get access. Simple, right? But it creates these fragile point-to-point connections, and here's the big one, it's a huge cybersecurity weak point. If a key gets compromised, you're in big trouble. Now, look at the Tritom model. It completely sidesteps that problem. Instead of keys, it's all about consent-based routing. No API keys are ever used or shared for consent, period. This isn't just a small tweak. It fundamentally boosts the cybersecurity of the entire network and puts everyone on a level playing field.
Here's a great way to think about it. Imagine an old-fashioned automatic telephone exchange. Its only job was to connect your call to the right number. It didn't listen in on your conversation. Well, Tritom is the telephone exchange for data. It routes the information from point A to point B based on who gave consent, but it never listens in. It doesn't store the data itself, and the entire conversation is end-to-end encrypted. Privacy and trust are literally built into the plumbing.
And here's one more great analogy. Look at this factory floor. You've got all these different independent machines, right? And then you have that higher-level control system that makes sure they all work together. That control system, that's Tritom. It's not micromanaging what happens inside each SaaS service. It's orchestrating the secure flow of data between all of them. It turns a collection of separate parts into one smoothly running, coherent system.
So where does this all leave us? We've seen how Tritom's unique architecture, and especially its innovative security model, really gets to the heart of the problems in decentralized data sharing. It's a genuinely significant step forward for the whole data economy. But hey, we're just scratching the surface today. In our next explainers, we're going to go even deeper. We'll start talking about the tangible business benefits you can get from this model, and we'll also explore the core philosophy that drives the entire solution. So you'll definitely want to stick around for that.
So if you remember just one thing, make it this. Tritom is offering a whole new paradigm for data sharing. It's secure by design, it's built on a foundation of trust, and it's truly federated. You know, this isn't just an improvement on the old model, it's a replacement for it. The real question now is, how fast will the rest of the data economy catch on? Thanks for tuning in.